to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Good evening, everybody.
Evening, Board.
Turn on the
Your mic.
Okay. We have a fairly short agenda tonight. We're going to start with the departmentals, building department.
Nothing to report this time?
Thank you, Steve.
Nothing to add.
DPW, Erin?
Nothing to add.
Nothing to add?
Nothing to add. Just wanted, the only thing I wanted to say is that I left the holiday lights up because the mayor called for the lights to be on in the park, so I left all the holiday lights up until Father's Day weekend.
Okay. Okay. Item A, Steve?
Update on 733 Little Neck Road. The applicant is working on his plans for resubmittal.
Okay. That's it. Item B. This is old business we discussed last week. An applicant on a subdivision is requesting to assign a street address to his property on Dwight Lane as number 18. I'm going to let Abraham show us a little bit about why we should or shouldn't grant that number.
So this was discussed last week as well, last meeting. Here is Dwight Lane, and this is the property that was the subject of subdivision. Now there's a line going down here. This piece is now a new property. This house is numbered number 2, this is number 4, and this house back here is number 6. This one, the next number should be number 8 at least, but currently this is 199 West Shore Road. This is currently vacant. There is no, it's 199 as well,
Right.
and this property is 199. The applicant is requesting that this piece, that the new piece, should be numbered 18 Dwight Lane.
There's no number in the teens yet.
No. So if we want to do it, that would be 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12 maybe, and this new property here would be 14. But currently, all these properties are 199 West Shore Road.
They're all 199 ABC.
Yeah, I know.
Correct.
Has anybody talked to the property owner closer to Steamboat, the large property? No, the large house.
This one?
Yeah, which is currently still 199.
Correct. This is 199. No, nobody has spoken to them.
Is it? I mean, they could also have a second address designation
They
for the
could.
property.
I don't think if they could have 2 addresses, they have to stick with one. But again, this causes the problem of when they call a emergency, when they hear 199 West Shore Road is part of village of Kings Point, and that might cause some confusion. So if you have a number here that is a Dwight Lane, and then you have a further house
No,
down.
no, it's a very big problem. I don't know what power we have to change.
We can ask them if they want to have a new address for their property. But this I believe was also subdivided, and there's a new house here, as well as this property was
The
subdivided.
house behind it is not an issue. The one on Radcliffe is not an issue.
This one or this one?
No, the one behind
This?
the 199.
All of them are 199.
I know.
Sorry. This
That
one?
one, yeah.
This one?
Yes.
That's all right.
This one is on Radcliffe.
Yes, but his address is Radcliffe.
His address is Radcliffe.
Okay, but
yes.
the property backing up to it, that's on.
This is also
it's on
Radcliffe.
Dwight.
This is also This is also
Yes,
Radcliffe, but this is still West Shore Road.
right. So we should ask that homeowner if
If
they'd
they
be
want to
interested.
switch it to.
For you know, and I think that, you know, to the extent possible, they should all have lit up house numbers on that street.
This street is very narrow as well. I don't know how much of a, and it's a private road, so the fire apparatus, if they can pass through this narrow road.
It's a disaster. So before us is an application to have that small piece. What about
These?
Yeah, what about that one?
It's still 199. That's what I
He
just
wants to
meant.
keep that 199?
They haven't approached the village at all for the new number.
Same applicant though, right?
No, this is different.
Oh.
This property was one lot and it
Okay.
was subdivided. This portion of it was named in Radcliffe, is
Mhm.
numbered in Radcliffe. This one is left as 199. So I would suggest that we have the owner of this property and this property as well.
Change their name.
They should change addresses. So we have
In
2,
fact-
4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14,
Right.
instead of jumping to 18.
I mean, they're not
I
going to be
don't
happy.
see
I mean,
the
it's
applicant
never
here.
convenient to change your house number. It could be a big pain in the neck. But to have a property that deep onto Dwight Lane to still retain the number of 189, it's got to be 700 feet from, maybe even more, from.
It could be, I can,
from East Shore Road.
Well, from West Shore Road?
No, it's just ridiculous. It has no relation to East Shore Road. That house.
This is West
That's
Shore Road.
West Shore Road. Yes.
This is
yeah,
West
yeah,
Shore
yeah.
Road, and this is Dwight Lane.
Right.
And
oh,
this
so
is the village's border boundaries.
okay. So they're a quarter of a mile from West Shore Road. I mean, there's, the fact that they got to keep 199 to begin with is ridiculous.
To begin with, all these properties had a number 199, I believe.
I know that. I know why it ended up that way.
Yeah.
Because 199 West Shore Road
It's
contained
really here.
all of those properties.
Oh, so it was
It was
one
all
piece.
It was all 199.
Okay.
Oh, it was one property.
But whenever they did that first subdivision, they never should have been able to retain that address.
Yeah.
Unless they were trying to keep some kind of Kings Point cachet. Our village has much better cachet, so I think we should talk to that property owner. Maybe send them a notice.
You're talking about these two property
Yes, yeah,
owners?
mhm.
Okay. Has been vacant for a long time. After the subdivision, they started building on this one. This is actually almost done.
Right.
However, this one is still in the early stages.
And I don't know what to do about 6
Number
Dwight Lane. It's
6
ridiculous.
is this one.
That was another misnumbered house.
How long ago did they change it to 6?
I don't know. I'll have to do research on that. But this was probably also as a part
Okay.
of one.
So if you could zoom in a little bit onto,
This property?
the property that's in front of us now. It's 246. Is there an 8? No. Okay, so I wouldn't put 8 on the new property, on the new subdivision.
As you can see, it's a 199 West Shore Road,
Right.
and this is the entire property before subdivision. Now it's this line, and this also is part of it. However, it's not within the village of Great Neck. That's why it's not showing.
Mm-hmm.
But the line goes all the way through here.
Right. So the western property is still Kings Point.
Correct.
And the applicant is asking for 18?
Correct.
I don't think there's a basis for that.
I'm not sure why this is not going away. I'm trying, it's not going away.
Just click on the map somewhere.
You gotta get the other houses to change before you start numbering houses out of grant.
Correct. And it's going to be a while till those properties get developed, so we should call on the properties that are already developed. I don't know what to do about 6 Dwight Lane, though. I mean, that's a badly misnumbered house.
This is number 6.
But that's in the village. 6
This
is in the village.
correct. And this house is numbered after, I believe, this Florence, which is, I think, it's here.
But
if
that's
I'm
not in the village either.
That's not in the village, no. This is the village's property line,
Right.
boundary.
So I think we have to talk to,
50 years, it's been 190.
yeah, the 199s they're really going to have to consider, like, changing their numbers.
Would you like to table it?
Yeah.
Or can we give it to the request and then still
Give what?
request Ruler Chris too was ever asking to change the number.
No.
Still go after.
No, no, you don't wanna do, you don't wanna name, give that one number 18, and you don't know what the other one's gonna end up being.
It's still gonna be one.
He's not, but he's not built yet, he's far from being built.
I know, so they should change.
They
the
should
one, but
change,
cannot
that's what
change.
Louis said.
Because
They,
199 should, he's the only unknown. Big house.
No, but
Yeah.
there's 199 A, B, C, and D, right? So
Correct.
this leaves a lot more to consider.
and I seriously think 6 Dwight Lane should also be contacted, cause that house could also throw off the emergency services.
That should be an odd number.
Right.
How was it ever given out? That's what
Don't know.
I'm curious what the history is.
All right, so I will contact the
Mhm.
building department as well as the building inspectors. I believe the building inspectors actually knows a couple of the people on that block that because of the new constructions, he knows them through the work that he has done with them.
Yeah,
So we will contact them to see if they're interested in fixing that problem.
okay.
Okay, thank you.
Check with the post office if they don't have a problem with it.
I think
Well,
they'll.
post
they-
office follows us, I believe, I'm sorry. So if we assign a number,
Post office. Those addresses are all coming out of Kings Point, not off of Steamboat Road side, the West Shore Road address.
The old West Shore addresses, right, they're no longer Kings Point. So,
I've seen on.
and we should have, obviously, we have to notify the post office of, but I think we need something comprehensive before we talk to the post office and before we talk to this applicant.
And I was speaking to the village of Kings Point as well, since it affects their houses as well.
The only houses in Kings Point are currently numbered West Shore Road. So if we take the numbers on Dwight Lane and they wanna keep West Shore Road, but it's always a good idea to talk to everybody, I guess. Let them know what we're doing.
Yeah, that's my suggestion.
Because you never know if the Kings Point,
Yeah, I don't know how
Kings Point Public Works may have to do something on West Shore Road and not know who they're dealing with. So you can see where it's gonna end up in a lot of confusion. The problem is asking somebody to change their address, when your IRS and your bank and everything is mortgage, credit reports, everything is, people move, so it'd be the same effect. Yes, Steve?
I've seen in other villages, when it's a private road, they have a sign outside the road, which would be the main road,
Mm-hmm.
listing the house numbers, so that when emergency services do come in,
Like a schematic.
like a schematic, where it would just say 2, 4, 6, and then it could say 199, whatever the address shall be. I've seen that before. I know in my previous village, we had it on a couple of private roads.
There's nothing wrong with it, as long as it's not confusing, it doesn't add to the problem, it helps. I have no problem with them.
Changing their a- I mean,
It would have to be a custom designed sign, it would have to be graphically designed, and yeah, I don't have a problem with that. I'd still rather ask the homeowners if they don't mind changing their addresses to the extent possible, and trying to get that done. I guess with number 6, that you could possibly do like a 5/6 Dwight Lane. That could be an address, and that would put it on the correct side of the street, they would still get their mail. And that would indicate to emergency services that it was an odd number. Okay, table it. Next meeting. Okay, there's no public hearing tonight, new business.
So let me just give us a little background about the 705. So 705, if you remember the last meeting they came for the architecture, the facade review. If you look at the map here, this little house on the middle of the screen, that was not part of the facade review.
Right.
So they would like now to add that and include it in their plans. We discussed it with our council.
Are they treating it differently than they showed us in their
No.
previous drawings?
No, they're
Okay.
not. If you would like, council can.
The application requires an amended approval of the facade review and approval of architectural review, due to the extent of the changes that will occur to the outside of the building. So to that end, what's on.
Amended to the extent that they're now including That small house?
Yes.
Okay.
So what's on the agenda tonight is scheduling a hearing for the amended architectural review. And also, that day, the board, if it so wishes, could also hear the facade review and approve both.
So we put it on for the next meeting?
We are
We
proposing
schedule?
to put it on for February 18th of 2020,
Okay.
due to certain requirements within the code.
Okay.
So with that being said, is there a motion to approve the placing of a hearing, not to be confused with a public hearing, on the agenda for February 18th? Moved by trustee Hope, seconded by trustee Namdar. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none, the motion carries.
Thank you. The next item is the discussion on the moratorium of a subdivision. As you know, there was a moratorium that was put in effect about a year ago, and it was extended one time.
It was a 6-month moratorium.
And it was extended, and the extension ended yesterday.
Right.
I believe Darnell has something to.
I will give a brief review. The, as Abraham has indicated, the moratorium has come to an end, and should the village wish, it could extend said moratorium, but my understanding is that the board is not inclined to do so. With a little more of a history, I would explain that the former superintendent of buildings, Mr. Barron, conducted a review, a preliminary review, of the subdivisions before the board of trustee, or before the planning board, and noted some concerns with making changes to the code. One of the major concerns being that any changes to the size requirements of lots would render a substantial number of properties within the village to be non-conforming, and thus would be pre-existing non-conforming. The problem there is that when a property owner goes to renovate their property or add a wing or make certain changes that would otherwise be permitted, they now are in a situation where they are essentially in a place of hardship due to the pre-existing non-conforming nature.
They'd have
of
to
the
make
property.
application to the zoning board.
Exactly.
Yeah. Right, so-
And so I believe the board does not wish to create that hardship on a substantial number of its residents. And to that end, because of that, the Board of Trustees sees no need to continue the moratorium or make changes to the subdivision law at this time. Is that accurate assessment?
It is with me. Anybody else?
Well, okay, so what are we, so are we saying that we're discontinuing it?
Well, we're not continuing the moratorium. We continued for a period of 6 months. It was there was a first 6-month moratorium, then we extended it for 6 months. And at the end of the 6 months, we're at this point, at the end of the 12 months, we're at this point where we have an analysis that says that changing the zoning on properties to restrict zoning, to restrict subdivisions would adversely affect a large number of properties in the village negatively, and put them in a very bad position should they want to do construction or additions on their houses or
But if it's going to
rebuild.
promote more subdivisions.
You're not promoting more subdivisions. We already have this in our code. So you're
And
just not.
a natural combatant to subdivisions is that if the proposed subdivided property does not comply with the code, they are required to obtain variances prior to obtaining the subdivision. So that's a natural built-in protection to unwarranted subdivisions.
Okay, so how easy is it to get variances then?
Well, I mean, I have a two-pronged answer there. One is if you want an in-depth legal analysis and legal suggestions, I would suggest an advice of counsel. That being said, the short answer is variances are controlled by state law, and depending on the type of variances, there is a set list of criteria in state law that has to be met in order to show a burden of proof on the applicant to show that they are entitled or should be granted a variance.
But it can get incredibly expensive for the applicant. They could drag their project on for years. It could, certainly months and months and months. The costs are exorbitant for attorneys, architects, engineers.
I mean, applying for these
Surveyors.
variances.
Yeah,
But
but
we've
that's a
seen-
natural deterrent, you know.
and yet we've seen them happen. You know, I mean, in some cases where we've been surprised.
The alternative is to change the code. And if we do that, we're gonna hurt a lot more people who really don't wanna find themselves in that position.
Well, what if we just lessen the penalty, if, you know, for the people who wish to add, you know, wings or modifications, so.
It's not a penalty.
Well, yeah, but it becomes a penalty if, you're saying
mean
that
the
they're
burden?
non-compliant, yeah. If they become,
What applies to those applicants will apply to people who are subdividing as well. The properties become equal in the eyes of.
As I stated, it'd be a state law, state statutory assessment as to the burden that needs to be met for a variance. I think what you're saying is kind of distinguish one variance from another, and the state law doesn't provide for that. There are two types of variances. One are area variances. Your setback needs to be 15 feet, and it's actually 10 feet. And then there are use variances, which is I want to use my property that is a residential property for a 7-Eleven. So those are the two types of variances. There are not distinguishments between area variances. You can't say, well, this kind of area variance is not actually a variance. It's held to a different standard. And that's a synopsis. That's it.
So, I guess if you wanna, I don't think we have to
Well,
take any action
I
at
don't
this
think
point.
there needs to be any action. I
No.
think this was more of just a note to the public.
Yep. Okay.
The next item is a safety improvement on the Middle Neck Road and a Piccadilly and possibly Woolies Lane. We had a number of people come in and complaining about the safety at the corner of Piccadilly and Middle Neck Road, where people trying to make a right turn from Middle Neck Road into Piccadilly, as well as making a right turn from Piccadilly onto Middle Neck Road. And it could be hazardous for them to make the right turn.
In their opinion.
In their opinion.
Okay.
At the corner of Baker, as well as Hicks, as well as Fairview, there's a no right turn sign when you want to turn on Middle Neck Road. There are a number of people who actually signed this petition that are asking if there could be to restrict the right turns at red for the traffic lights at Piccadilly and Woolies Lane.
Okay. I think that this is something that we should review with either with a traffic consultant or with, we could at least use data that was provided by the county for the NASA, for the Middle Neck Road improvement. So, before going any further with this, we should definitely review that document and determine if there is a particular danger presented at those intersections or not. I'm not disagreeing with those residents. I'm sure they feel what they're feeling. So it's worth taking a look at. And if we already have no right on red at the other main intersections into Middle Neck Road, it's something that we should look into over there.
There might not be enough traffic at Woolies Lane, but certainly from my own personal experience, there is a lot of traffic on Piccadilly.
Yes, and there are people walking on that corner. And
Correct.
they're walking at every corner. This is, so it's a populous village, so it's something worth looking into.
Sure.
All right. Thank you.
Well, some of the signs like Steamboat says, no turn on red when pedestrians are present.
Right, and that's helpful, but I think that, like for Piccadilly, which is a intersection that also has a curve in the Middle Neck Road roadway, where sight lines might be interfered with, the new synagogue is, certainly more of a presence than it used to be. So that might be something worth looking into, or considering on those things.
Some of them also.
We also have the timed restrictions.
I see it's 7 to 7.
Right,
On Baker.
that's on Baker.
It's also on, that's on Baker.
Yeah.
That time restriction is on Baker and one on, Vista Hill.
Right, and there's also consequences to putting on these signs, whereas you might get traffic backed up between Piccadilly and Woolies is not a very long stretch, and you can get traffic backed up for a long way over there.
So for what?
Just if you have no right on red, you get a lot of traffic out of the way when you have the right on red.
Retime the traffic light.
You what?
You may have to retime the traffic light to allow those amount of cars to go through.
But
Right.
that's done by Nassau County, isn't
It
it?
is.
No, but having having, an excessive amount of cars on Middle Neck Road is not a safe situation either, especially since so many people cross in between streets.
But this petition asks for no right turn on red for
I know.
going from Piccadilly turning right on Middle Neck Road. It has nothing to do with.
And
Middle Neck
also,
Road.
you said from Middle Neck Road, turning right on Piccadilly.
No, what I said was they're not requesting that. What they're requesting is no turn on red coming from
Piccadilly,
Piccadilly
okay.
on Middle Neck Road.
Okay.
What you're saying is there are traffic that's going to turn on Piccadilly from Middle Neck Road.
I mean,
and
that
causes.
that particular intersection,
Asking for the two intersections, Woolies Lane, on Woolies Lane at Middle Neck.
right, making the no right turn,
On Piccadilly at Middle Neck.
right, understood.
But you're not asking to put a no turn on red on Middle Neck Road by itself.
Understood. So I think it's something that we should take into consideration when the mayor's back.
Okay.
And also take a look at maybe that traffic report that was produced by Nassau County, which is really filled with information. I certainly see this just personally, at Piccadilly, being such an odd intersection, being more important.
Okay.
Okay. And the last item of new business.
This is a request by a business owner at the gym at 770 Middle Neck Road, that they have a few people that they come there as early as 4:30 in the morning to exercise at the gym, and they have nowhere to park, so they park their cars in the village's parking lot, and they were receiving tickets. They send an email to Brian requesting if they could get a waiver or if they can have a consideration and just change the code regarding that. I know that this issue came up before, but also what the board should consider is the businesses per code cannot operate before 6 o'clock in the morning and after 11 o'clock at night unless they are a restaurant or a restaurant type business.
Okay, so this business is non-compliant in two areas.
Correct.
Number one, they're operating their business before the
6
code
o'clock.
allows them to open.
Correct.
And number two, they're allowing customers or having customers park in our parking lots, which are time restricted until 6 a.m.
There is no parking from 3 to 6 a.m.
Okay.
in those parking lots.
So,
It also inhibits the cleaning of the parking lots on sweeping days and as well as.
Snow days.
Snow plowing.
okay.
Brian, is there anyone here from the
There might be.
business?
I don't know that you wanna start that precedent of doing that in one lot.
Right.
You got 7 parking lots.
I'm not inclined to set that precedent, so.
Okay.
It's not Jerry Cooney, the former boxer, is it?
No,
He's from Long Island.
yeah.
Okay.
Board can probably take no action on that, or
Uh,
expressly deny.
No, I
I have
wouldn't
it in
expressly
minutes.
deny it, or just take no action on it.
No action on it? Okay.
I mean, do you think we need advice on that one, or? No, right?
If you want advice.
No, if we take no action, or if we expressly deny it, it's of the same import.
Effectively
So-
the same outcome, yes.
So-
one's kinder than the other.
Yeah, I just don't wanna be passive,
Okay.
lull them into thinking it's okay, so.
But it is a business that he wants to be open before 6, and that's his kind of business. Why shouldn't he be able to run his business before 6 a.m. if that's the kind of business
Because
he has?
it's not permitted by code. And he's using parking spots that are not open until 6.
And if they can't clean
So
the
if you wanna
parking
change
lot,
the
then-
code, that's a whole different story, and then, well, as Louis would have mentioned, open a can of worms for, a lot of other businesses and locations in the village.
I believe we had this
If you
conversation.
want, President Council, I mean,
Wanna go for quick advice? Okay.
is there a motion for advice of council on the matter before us? Moved by trustee Hope, seconded trustee Sobel, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none, the motion carries.
This will take about 3 minutes.
Use the restroom first? No, I mean, if you want.
I don't know, I'm not.
Abraham, take it away.
The advice of counsel?
Yeah, all right.
Sorry.
Well, coming out of advice of counsel, I move.
Moved by trustee Sobel, seconded by trustee Mendelson. All in favor? Any
Aye.
opposed? Hearing none, the motion carries.
What'd you just vote on? What'd you just vote on?
I'll vote on this,
Advice of counsel.
You voted to come out of advice of counsel. Okay.
The next item is a minute for December 17th, 2019. Would you like to table that to the next meeting?
No, I don't want to table it. Hold on. It's 8:15. We could take a quick look. Anybody else want to move it? Hold on.
Oh, it's two sets.
It's 2 sets of minutes. We don't
No,
want to
no,
table.
it's not two. It's only one for now. The others that I did not get a chance to review.
12:17.
12:17 only. You might have to.
Just give me 1 second. Nobody start reading the whereas clause.
Steve, I don't wanna give him a day off tomorrow, tell him he's gotta come in tomorrow, we gotta recycle.
Me and Jimmy have business, we gotta go to Washington. For that postage.
He's always trying to
On your own
speak
time,
out
on
loud.
your own time.
He's always trying to
I'm
speak out
sold.
loud.
Aaron, you're not leaving till all the cracks in the ice skating rink are filled in.
That's right. There
Really?
you go.
It's already cracked.
You got to fill those.
Yeah, Uncle Pete's running the Zamboni over there, you gotta clean it up.
Give me the old.
That's why you do.
There's a special crack filler fluid for the.
The machine
For the ice.
With water.
They bought it,
Yes.
they bought it. The machine broke
Are you
down
done?
on Sunday.
I know that.
They're fixing it today.
I think it's funny that the Zamboni freezes. How does a Zamboni freeze? It's got one purpose in life.
It's closed.
Okay, I'll move the minutes from 12:17.
Moved by trustee Sobel,
Second.
seconded by trustee Namdar. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none, the motion carries. I'd note, Mayor Brawl's abstention for the record and for the votes.
Absence, not
I said, yes, thank you. I would note Mayor Brawl's absence for the votes today.
Next
Oh,
item,
the action because he's sick.
the next item is abstract for this Friday.
He's got something going on.
So I make a motion to accept the abstract.
Whoa. Plowing through.
Moved by trustee Mendelson, seconded by trustee Namdar. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none, the motion carries.
He wants to talk.
Now the moment you've all been waiting for. Public comments.
Public comment, please.
I saw Gene first, so let's go.
Let's get Gene up there first. And, he's a good person, Gene. Yes, she is.
Okay. Gee, I'd like to say tonight was a real pleasure. It was nice to see you all participating. This is the first time in a long, long time where the other trustees have spoken and given their opinions. That's how it used to be.
Pretty sure you said that last week, last meeting.
No.
Okay.
This is the first, it was a pleasure tonight, really was. Okay. And I hope it continues, and I hope you all continue to speak out and, you know, give your opinions too. You're on the board. Everfresh, the sign's up. It does look so much better having the sign up.
Yeah, now we know it's there.
Everfresh, yes. But there's one thing, and I have mentioned it before, the cars that come out of the parking lot,
Mm-hmm.
still cars go in also.
Right.
And I know it's not supposed to be in and out. It is dangerous when you have someone like me and other people.
It's actually not, it's not one way at this time.
It is
It's
two
a two,
ways?
it's
It is
two
an
ways.
in and out?
It's 2 ways.
Then maybe that should be changed.
Still is. Well,
Because as you try to cross,
so she's talking about the north entrance, the north entrance.
next to the
It's
firehouse,
2 ways.
it is a two-way, because when you try to cross there, to get to the
Well,
other side, you've got, we're
I'm
watching
gonna
the
channel
cars
my inner
coming
Louis
out,
on this one,
but
but if
you've
you,
got to watch the cars
if you make it
coming
one
out
way,
this way.
you're probably gonna cause problems at the other end of the lot, so. Yeah.
Okay, so forget that one.
No parking, usually there's a, delivery trucks that are parking in
Yeah.
the parking zone.
Yeah,
And I'll note that, Wanda's been hitting them with tickets.
it's improved, it has improved with that, yeah. Okay, the other
Whoever
thing.
brought Wanda into the village is a genius.
The other thing is, on the 733, I know it's not on tonight, but why has it been delayed? Are those plans that were upstairs for the 15th of December, have they been changed at all?
They're working on it. I don't know what.
Working
amendments-
on the plans that are already up there on the 15th, now, they're going to work on those?
Yeah,
So those could be changed again?
they're amending.
They're amending the plans that are the latest ones. Okay, thank you, that's it.
Thank you, Gene, that was quick.
Thank you.
Gene's a very good speaker.
Yes.
Regarding the north side of the parking lot at Everfresh, there is no parking for, there is no commercial parking like other areas that we have within the village. That might be safe to put a commercial parking from the Everfresh entrance to the store itself through where the opening is to get into the parking lot from maybe 8 to 2, so the trucks actually have a place to park.
In the driveway?
Not on the driveway, on Middle Neck Road itself, just
Right.
like we have it on the other commercial sites, like in front of 770 or in front of 575, I believe, and other places. It might be a good idea to also add that. It will eliminate 2 parking spots, but it will add probably to a lot of the safety of the pedestrian.
The only, yes, if the trucks are not obscuring pedestrians from other traffic. So there has to be far enough away from the crosswalk.
You're suggesting that it would be where the regular customer spots are.
Yes,
On the
it
street,
will
on
eliminate-
Middle Neck Road.
Yes,
So
it will eliminate
If
2
it's over
spots.
there, then I agree, because where they're parking right now, it obfuscates them.
The adverse, exactly, the adverse result of that would be there's a big truck parked there, and when people want to make a right turn on Middle Neck Road from the north side of the parking lot, they might not be able to see the cars coming north side on
So
Middle Neck
let's,
Road.
so-
But you're doing it anyway.
So could we put that on the agenda for the next meeting, and we'll consider it.
Unlike other locations, they can go in the parking lot and offload their trucks. They don't have to do it on Middle Neck Road.
That's also a good point.
Yeah,
yes.
why do they do it on that road? I would think that it's easier to bring it in through that.
It's very congested. It's very congested, that parking lot.
Okay,
Thank you.
Okay, Tricia Moslin, 15 Southgate. One comment, we had gone down to the outdoor skating rink. It was absolutely beautiful. There was so many kids in the rink, so many more coming, laughing, giggling, enjoying themselves. It was beautiful to see, so thank you for extending that. The other thing is, what's happening to the concrete sidewalk that the building on Woolies Lane, I think it is, was supposed to repair on Piccadilly? Weren't they supposed to,
you talking about the synagogue?
near the synagogue, behind,
Piccadilly Road.
yeah.
Oh, that piece of sidewalk. So, the last that we spoke about this, we were actually going to find out about getting permission from the county and finding, I don't think you were here for that, Louis. I think it's while you were sick, that we discussed. We had some opposition from some residents that they didn't want to take out that little piece of sidewalk and insisted that people use that sidewalk. I happened to disagree at the
Took
time.
sidewalk out because nobody was using the sidewalk. The sidewalk was all broken up.
Right.
It was Nassau County's responsibility to maintain the sidewalk.
But they're talking about the one section that belongs to 10 Woolies.
That one section belongs to Woolies Lane,
1 Woolies, I think, yeah.
one Woolies Lane, and then the other, there's another little small piece that belongs to Rabbi Alon's temple,
Right,
which isn't really a sidewalk, it's kind of a driveway slash sidewalk kind of situation over there.
right.
And
So,
the sidewalk going eastward was Nassau County's, and
they didn't maintain it. So the resident request at the time was if we can look into getting permission from Nassau County to make a sidewalk, to replace the sidewalk that used to be there, I guess,
I'm sure the county wouldn't have a problem.
and go up to Berkshire, but we would have to maintain it.
No, that's sidewalk that we're gonna have to maintain.
Right.
And when you get to Berkshire Road, where are you going?
No, there's no sidewalk at that point, but I think the residents' concern was that, because of the turning vehicles and the traffic and people walking in the street over there, that it presented more of a hazard closer to Middle Neck Road than it would, obviously up by Berkshire, somebody would have time to see somebody.
Well, if we can get an estimate for the sidewalk, would be
But obviously the maintenance is,
$8 a square foot.
but obviously the bigger issue is the maintenance of it going forward. So I'm sure Nassau County is not going to be amenable to that. I'm sure Nassau County would be happy to put a sidewalk back as long as we're doing it, so that's another thing we have to discuss. But thanks for bringing it up, Trish. I forgot about that.
Well, when you talk about maintenance, what type of maintenance are we talking about?
Snow and ice.
Be cleaning the
Oh, so-
sidewalk.
Cleaning.
clearing
But
the
if it
snow-
belongs
sidewalk
to-
for snow.
No,
Right,
no.
but if it
It's Nassau. There's one piece that belongs to 1 Woolies, and they would have to maintain that one piece theoretically, but
Which they never did in the past.
they never did in the past. And you could tell by the condition that it's in now, which is really
It's gotta be replaced or
Yeah.
removed.
right. So we suggested removing it because removing it would be safer than keeping it in the condition that it's in. Then we had a resident who took a very strong opposition to that, removing that little piece of sidewalk. So that's I disagreed with it, but we didn't come to a conclusion on it. So now that you're back, I think that it's a good discussion to have. Okay? But not at this meeting.
By the way, speaking of sidewalks,
Yes.
when Len was working, he had written a bunch of tickets, sidewalk tickets, on East Shore Road, and it really wasn't fair to the property owners on East Shore Road to have all these tickets when you look at your own property, and it was a disaster. So, last week I had, in front of what was the old sewer department, sewer plant, I had about half of that sidewalk replaced up to the gate.
Well, it's unusual to be able to do that in January, but I guess we had good weather.
Unusual practice, I guess. Looks nice though.
Okay, good. Thank you. Speaking of which, Steve, I did receive some verbal complaints from a resident who's helped out the village in different respects. Michael Goldman. He does our taxes. Not the certiorari, the tax. No, when they complain about the grievances, yeah, sorry. I should know that. He does a lot of walking in the village on his own. He's a jogger, and he called me up after a night of jogging and said, he goes, wow, the sidewalks in the village are just terrible, and there's hedges jutting out into the sidewalks, and there's no choice but to go into the streets. And we did address it, I think, like 4 years ago, or maybe 3.5 years ago. We did get like 200 sidewalks done at that time.
Robert goes out on a weekly basis flagging these sidewalks, and he doesn't necessarily write them to give them sums. He tries to get them to comply
Like a notice.
and repair it.
Mhm. Okay.
And he tries to get the people to comply to repairing them, and he did quite a few of them. I know he was on Faneuil, there was some that had big stumps, he asked me to remove the trees, and this way they could fix the sidewalk properly, and a lot of the issues were just that, the sidewalks were outdated.
Right, right, and those residents should replace those sidewalks. And when you have hedges jutting out, there's no excuse for that, you know. For hedges jutting out into sidewalks and people with strollers or with a wheelchair getting hit in the face with, you know, shrubs is not a pleasant experience, so.
If they actually call the main office, we can transfer them to the building department, and we can send out,
But
inspectors.
I know we could do that, but maybe we need to do something more proactive.
Do we have anything specific?
I-
Any specific road?
I can get the specifics from him, but I think proactively, even if I get specifics from him, it's gonna be this much. And, you know, it's an issue that I've found on Polo and on, you know, all different areas of the village. There's some really bad streets on Beach that I walk all the time by Crampton over there, so, in terrible shape, so. They, yeah, thank you.
A lot
Okay.
of the corner properties need the bushes cut back and brought into.
Brought to code and brought lower. Mhm. David?
David Slenziger, 15 Beach Road. I wanted to thank Mr. Haramis for getting the outhouse removed from 10 Beach Road in just a couple of days.
The residents are happy about that, too.
Yeah, and I did notice
The-
in the village code, I found at least 3 references to privies and outhouses. Now, you're not allowed to have a permanent outhouse in the village. I realize during construction there's the need, but if there is not some way that between the two of you, there might be some way that either you take a look at what the code says, and for future construction, at least these outhouses, if they have to be there, are placed either in the rear or on the side of the property.
First, you know, I spoke to the residents. The residents had little to do with the placement or even ordering the outhouse.
Right, well,
Their contractor did
yes,
that.
I know that.
But the bigger problem is that there was a dumpster in the driveway.
Which is still
and,
there.
and vehicle, right, so to put the outhouse in the back where it can't be serviced didn't make sense.
Well-
So that's why it was where it was. As it turned out, the workers were using the bathroom inside, and then the postal workers and the Amazon delivery and lots of other people on the
Well,
street were
as
using
you
the
have
outhouse.
the pictures that I
Yeah,
sent in.
yeah.
So anyway, I'm just thinking for the future, that might be something to think about.
In fact, one delivery guy actually thanked the homeowners for having it.
Well,
So-
that's why I
They
complained
were
about
ve-
it being a
They were
public
like, thank, you know,
nuisance.
like, you have no idea what it's like to deliver packages all day. There's no place to go, and, you know, you
Well,
guys
they
saved
could go
it.
to the Park District at 5 Beach Road, but,
Well-
okay. I had a totally.
I can't say that, but you can.
Something that I had a question about. What is the role, when you had the recent shifts here, the village created a new office or a new position. What is the Director of Public Affairs? What are the responsibilities of that position, and what does that person do?
Okay. Abraham?
Does
you wanna-
anybody know?
Yes.
Of course, that is a civil service title that has specific roles in the village as well as on other villages. The person occupying this title responds to articles written in the papers as well as getting the message from the board to the public, as well as responding to villages, residents' complaints, or if there's any specific information, if there's needed, it goes to that person and she responds.
She also has some other duties, like she'll be responsible for the newsletter. That's in the works.
Is it going to be revived?
Yes.
Good.
Yeah, that's part of her duties. She's also in. Right. She goes to. She does attend meetings. She went to Vision Long Island 2 weeks ago, I believe. She attended that. She's also. She's going to be working and coordinating the Village Street Fair and Music Festival, if it's going to happen this summer. But if it does, it's going to be the 13th and 14th of June.
It's already,
Thank you.
it's already been put on the,
Yeah, I know. So anyway, Any other public comment, Erin?
None,
None?
I'm good.
Okay,
That being
Want to get out of here.
okay, hearing none,
Motion
move,
to adjourn?
move to adjourn.
I mean, we're out of here.
all in favor?
Aye.
Oh.